Breaking tonight, did the Obama administration just pick a side in the Israeli-Palestinian war? And was it the wrong one? Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. The FAA today extended its ban on all flights to Tel Aviv for another 24 hours. A move Hamas, which the United States says is a terrorist group, hailed as a great victory. The ban was extended despite the fact that there is no similar ban in place on flights over Afghanistan, Pakistan, Yemen, not even one over Ukraine, where a commercial airliner was just shot down. Now Texas GOP Senator Ted Cruz is suggesting this is a de facto boycott of Israel, offered at the same time we are sending $47 million in aid to Gaza, which is controlled by that terrorist group, Hamas. Andrew McCarthy is a former federal prosecutor, National Review contributing editor and author of Faithless Execution, building the political case for Obama's impeachment. Andy, Senator Cruz went a step further just a couple of hours ago, saying he wants to put a hold on all State Department nominees until the White House answers his questions, which zero in on whether they had a hand in the FAA's decision and whether this is, in effect, a boycott of Israel. Is it the right move?
Oh, it's absolutely the right move. It's certainly the right move for him to use what leverage he has to get answers out of the White House. And the substantive move underneath it, absolutely the right move.
What you say that the White House, the administration should not be sending John Kerry over there. They should not be demanding a ceasefire. They should be letting Israel do what it's doing, right, because we need Israel to win.
Yes, Hamas is not only Israel's enemy, it's part of the global jihad. It's our enemy. And for those who actually care about peace in the Middle East, who want to have a two-state solution, the only chance that you have for that, and I'm a skeptic about whether it's even possible under these circumstances, but the only chance you have is if Hamas loses and if the will of the global jihad is broken. If that doesn't happen, you cannot have the conditions for an enduring peace of any kind.
So this is akin to the United States being at war with al-Qaeda and the United States making progress on that war with al-Qaeda and being on the precipice of defeating al-Qaeda, and then maybe our allies in Europe saying, no, we need a ceasefire, take your heel off of the neck of the al-Qaeda snake. When we're saying, no, we want to eliminate them.
Yes, and in this instance, it's in many ways worse because Israel's a smaller country, and what we've learned over the last 2 weeks is they have a highly sophisticated, Hamas does, network of tunnels running all through Israel, which are designed for terrorist attacks, for abductions, and for strategic bombings throughout Israel.
And just this past week, the Israelis caught some Palestinians wearing Israeli guard uniforms trying to sneak into Israel, and they found some very telling items on those Palestinians, on those Hamas operatives.
Yeah, things like handcuffs and sedatives and things to put people out. And it's clear that they were planning abductions. And look, I'm a big fan of the way Israel does its national security, but I think one of the mistakes it makes is basically bartering with terrorists, you know, releasing terrorists in order to get some of its own people back.
They released 1,000 Palestinian prisoners for one Israeli, Gilad Shalit.
Right, and look at what the incentive has done. Basically, what Hamas is planning to do, among other things, is abductions because they know that that gives them great leverage against Israel.
In the meantime, they found one of these tunnels leading underneath a kindergarten. With, you know, the suggestion is they were going to bomb a kindergarten. That these Hamas operatives were going to bomb an Israeli kindergarten.
There's a certain symmetry to it because they bomb from kindergartens in Gaza. So,
okay, which leads me to my next question, because you cited with approval an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal from the other day where the author was arguing that you could make the case that some of these Palestinian civilian deaths we're seeing aren't really true civilians because these are people who have chosen in some part to house terrorists, to house their weapons, to house their bombs, and therefore can you really call yourself a civilian? The critics of the professor who wrote that article, he's a fellow, I think, at NYU, who wrote that op-ed, say that he sounds like Osama bin Laden and that for you to cite him with authority makes everyone who is supporting him adopting the argument of terrorists, which is, well, it was fair of us to bomb the World Trade Center on 9/11 and kill civilians because really all Americans have blood on their hands because they support their government's policies.
No, that's preposterous. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. So they chose Hamas, and they chose Hamas under circumstances where Hamas exists for one reason and one reason only, which is to eliminate Israel.
That is in Hamas's charter. That is
Right.
not. That is a statement of fact.
No, this isn't my opinion.
Right.
They not only say that, they want you to know that. They want Israel to know that. So that is what the Palestinians chose.
Okay, but so now accepting that,
Right.
how can you still look at the death of children on television, because the Israelis have been far more effective militarily than the Palestinians have, and say we shouldn't be concerned about it? It shouldn't be something the American people are alarmed by.
I think it overstates it to say we shouldn't be concerned about it. But, the fact of the matter is, when you have a war, you are allowed under the laws of war to attack strategic military targets. And if strategic military targets include places where the enemy is not only firing at you, but using human shields to try to discourage you from retaliation, you have to be able to retaliate. That's part of the reason war is so horrible and we hate it. But that is the way war has to be fought.
And Israel gives advance notice of the specific target that's going to go after.
Unlike us in many circumstances.
Andy McCarthy, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Megan.
Joining me now.